let's have a look at quadratic graphs. So a quadratic graph is anything that can be written in this form: y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and those values there, b and c could be 0, so we could just literally have y equals x squared, or we could have y equals 2x squared. So if I had something like this, y equals 3x squared, that would be a quadratic. If I had y equals x squared plus x plus 3, that would be a quadratic. If I had something like y equals x cubed plus x squared, this one would not be a quadratic equation because it's got x to the power of 3. Okay, we only want the maximum power of x to be a 2. So let's have a look at some simple ones here. So we've got written down here y equals x squared. So y equals x squared is going to look like this. Okay, that shape that I've drawn there is what we call a parabola. Okay, really important shape, parabola. If you see this shape, then what you have is a quadratic graph. So it could be a positive shape like this one, or it could be a negative shape. So for y equals minus x squared, this is what it would look like, something a bit more like that. Okay, so that's a quick look at quadratic graphs. Now I'm going to go on to think about when we have solutions. Okay, now a solution to any graph really is when y equals 0. Okay, or another way of thinking about y equals 0 is where it crosses the x-axis, because on the x-axis that is where y is equal to 0. So I'm going to give you a couple of kind of examples of the different numbers of solutions we could have. Okay, because I could have a graph like this, couldn't I? That graph does not cross the x-axis, so this one has no solutions. So an example for that one could be, an example for that one could be y equals x squared plus 4. I could have a quadratic equation that has one repeated solution, or just think about it as just one solution. So it could just touch the x-axis, and so here there's only one point where y is equal to 0, so it's got one solution. And I could have two solutions, so I could have a graph like this, and we can see there that when y is equal to 0, there's 2 points where y equals 0, so that has two solutions. Now, a quick tip: if you are trying to plot a quadratic graph, it must be a smooth curve and not dot to dot. So I've just added this bit in here for you to look at. Okay, not dot to dot. Sometimes they have exam questions and they try and ask you what's wrong with this, and we want to say, it should be a nice smooth curve, not dot to dot. Okay, so that's a quick look at quadratic graphs.
JoashMaths.